Hi, my name is Deborah Miracle, and today with this presentation, I am going through and we're looking at how we can apply strategic decision making to my business, Get It Right Services. The question that we ask today is, should I add an employee to my business or not? So let's talk a little bit about my company. I developed Get It Right Services in 2020. I perform bookkeeping and marketing services for other local companies. One of the things I pride myself on is that I have a personalized approach. I have my hand in everything that a client provides to me. So now I have to decide, is it the time for me to grow? Is it the time for me to add an employee, or should I continue on my own? One of the things at my business is that with adding an employee, am I going to be able to maintain that personalized service that I have? Am I going to be able to manage the workload that I have? By adding an employee, I could add more workload on, but can we keep streaming forward in that personalized service, in that amount of workload? Some key analyzing factors that we have to look at is, what is my hiring criteria? What would I say the job responsibilities would be for this new employee? What kind of training could this person need? How would this impact my operations? How would it impact my client satisfaction? With optimizing my growth, I have to be able to focus on quality service while identifying what growth opportunities are out there. Am I going to be able to implement effective marketing strategies if I have another employee? How can I adjust any business strategies I've already had by adding another employee? How can I make sure that my customers receive the utmost care that I've dedicated to them if I add another employee? Now I have to look at it from a pros and cons list. Let's start with the benefits of adding an employee. First of all, I could increase my capacity. Currently, I have 4 clients. Possibly by adding a new employee, I could double that. Could I enhance my service delivery by adding a new employee? The more team members there are, logically, it would say that the faster turnaround there is. Another point is that a new hire can bring complementary skills and expand the range of services that I offer. This is a diversification of the skills. These are benefits that I could add to my company by adding this employee. As we know, with every benefit, there is a drawback. So what drawbacks of hiring an employee in my business could there be? One is the financial impact. My costs would be higher. Another would be potential conflicts in our decision making. I'm an owner operator. I have my hands in everything. What if they make a decision that I don't feel is good for my business? There's a conflict that could be there. Another huge drawback is finding the right candidate. Not only do I have to find somebody that jives with me, I need to find somebody that is a good representation of what I want my company to be. As we've learned throughout this course, there are 7 rational decision-making strategies that we can use when making these decisions. The first is to use decision analysis tools. For me, I'm evaluating the impact with decision trees and cost-benefit analysis. With that first step of decision making, I'm mostly looking at cost-benefit analysis. Does the pro of adding an employee make up for the cost that it will be to my company? The next step that I can do is that I can acquire expertise from local companies. If I were to consult with an HR consultant about workforce planning, I could possibly decide from that how adding an employee could affect my business? How could I set up a plan to add an employee? Another step is to debias your judgment. I need to seek some input, basically be devil's advocate. Now, in my company, I'm a single owner operator, so I am my own devil's advocate. I have to look at the what if I do this? What if I do that? What if I add an employee and they don't represent the culture that I want to put forward? This is something that I have to look at and figure out for my own judgment. The next step is to reason analogically. How can I learn from similar businesses' experiences? In my town of Findlay, there are not very many local companies that do bookkeeping and marketing. So it's hard for me to really reach out and have an understanding from somebody who has the exact type of business that I do. So I kind of have to pick and choose, and I have to look logically from a few different angles and possibly a few different companies. If I look at a large CPA firm that has 10 CPAs there, obviously what they're offering to their clients is different than what I'm offering. However, I can utilize what they do with bookkeeping services to have a better understanding as to what could I bring in if I take on another employee. The next step would be to gain some outside perspective. Again, there aren't very many companies who do exactly what I do, so a lot of my outside perspective would come from people who are close to me or even my clients that I can utilize their thoughts to help balance this decision whether I should add an employee or not. Going straight to my clients may be my best factor to ask them, how would you feel if I had one other person helping me with your bookkeeping? When it comes down to acknowledging the stakeholder bias, which is our sixth step, it's hard for me to decipher as I do not have investors. So really we're talking about my bias. This is my business and something that I've built over the last 4 years. I have to be able to recognize that my perspective could influence this decision. The final step is to use behavioral nudges. So a guidance of what my behavior is, behavioral economics towards that outcome of what would be beneficial to my company. Again, I can't look at any investor or stakeholder to have an understanding of what they want in it. I have to trust my gut as to what's the best for my company. So what do I do? Do I add an employee? Do I wait and add one further down the line? Or do I continue on the path that I am and be an individual owner operator? For me, the answer mostly lies with I'm not ready to take on an employee. When I look at the cost benefit analysis, I financially cannot support another employee. If I were a large firm that had 20 employees and a corporate office to answer to and a budget that could truly be in place, maybe at that point I could make a rationalized decision to add an employee. But right now I'm small and I'm local. I think what would be best for me and best for my company is to make a plan. Look out 5 years down the road and say, within the next 5 years, I want to add an employee. And in order to do that, I need to plan it out. I need to make sure that I have a rationalized decision behind this, that I financially have the means behind adding an employee. Because right now, it's not the time and it wouldn't be a benefit to me or to my company. Ultimately, what we've learned is that whether it's a business decision or a personal decision, there are so many factors that come into play. We have to navigate the process. We have to understand what complexities there are, what impacts there are to whatever decision we have. In this case, the complexities and impacts of me adding an employee outweigh whatever benefit there could be to me. Not only as we navigate this process, we need to have rational strategies while we're doing this. Making a well-informed decision is the best that we can do personally and professionally. And having an understanding of what our opportunity is ultimately what it comes down to. This course allowed us the opportunity to find our strengths, to find our weaknesses in our decision-making process. I want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss this decision and how the course allowed me to have an understanding about what decisions I need to make for my company, as it really opened my eyes to what I need to do next.